Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Studio D's YouTube channel. My name is Kate, and I'm the clinic director here at Studio D. For those of you who don't know what Studio D is, that probably means that you've missed out on some of the really amazing discussion we've had so far. So I encourage you guys to go back and watch our initial videos explaining and outlining kind of what Studio D is, what we believe in, and also jumping in on all the discussion that's been had already this month. You can follow the link above and get all caught up on what we're discussing today. So to jump into that, this month we've been talking about curated content and what that means for Studio D and all the ins and outs. And this month we are also doing an amazing fun giveaway. So stay tuned to the end of the video so that you can find out how to enter for that draw. Awesome. So let's get on with today. So like I said, we have been talking about curated content with all these really specific different patient profiles over the last month. And today, what we're focusing on is fitness and health. And those individuals that are really just looking to improve their fitness in a really general capacity. And this is a really big area that we work with people in. And people that, these aren't your varsity athletes. These aren't your people training for, big athletic goals. These are these people that maybe have a bit of an active lifestyle right now. Maybe they like to get out on the weekends and do a bit of hiking, or maybe they're walking their dogs every day, but they want to have a bit more ownership. They want to be a bit more intentional about where they're going with their fitness. And usually, in most of the people that come through our door, it's in the capacity and with the end goal of generally living a healthier lifestyle. And, sometimes that has more specific goals with maybe the way they look, maybe they want to change shape a little bit, maybe they want to tone or, any variety of different goals. But generally speaking, it comes from a place of wanting to improve their health. And so when that's our goal and it's not, about periodization training or peaking at a certain time or lifting a certain weight, when it's more generalized and more of a broad goal that we're looking at, you might be surprised and interested that at least our approach and where we come from that curated lens that we've been talking so much about, we actually don't look at workouts as the first thing that we're addressing. And that's because if I was to give you a, huge, crazy workout schedule, or even maybe something that to me seems really reasonable, a couple workouts a week, maybe some mobility and stretching every evening, maybe a run or a longer walk or et cetera once a week. But if all that you've been doing is really casual stuff with not much consistency, maybe you'd like to try to do, some yoga each week, or maybe go for a run once a week or et cetera. If I try to give you a really big structured routine right off the hop, the reality is that you probably won't be successful with it. And that goes into the, 6-week challenges in Fitness Society and, the quick fixes. I had a really amazing conversation with a client this morning about our society's basically obsession with these quick fixes, these instant gratification. How everybody wants that, success right away. And at the end of the day, that type of success is really exciting, but it's not sustainable, and it doesn't set us up for those functional, fundamental, holistic, habitual habits around fitness that we'll be able to integrate into our lifestyle in a longer, sustainable manner. So the very first thing that we address with clients that come through the door with these specific goals is actually taking it right back to the very beginning of what we talked about last month, is that lifestyle management. So what are the building blocks of your life look like? What are the things that you're working with? I had a client in actually earlier today, and we had an amazing conversation. She had, we planned out last week. She was starting kind of a new fitness model. We had really specific goals through the weekend. But what we did last week is we made like a 2-week kind of template for her to follow. And she had a lot of support at the beginning, and then we had specific goals over the weekend. And we didn't kind of sit down and look over her plan this week because we had touched on it last week. And it was really interesting when we talked about it today, because she sat down last night and she laid out her entire week regarding her work. And she got up this morning and she went to work, and she missed out on everything we talked about. She missed out on her activity. She missed out on some of her other kind of habit forming tasks that we were working on because she was so focused on her work. And our society is really integrated that way. We prioritize work. We hold a lot of our identity around our career and our work, and it always comes first. It's the first thing that we talk about. But when it comes to our life and planning life, and that's what we talked about today with this client, is when we're planning out our week, we can't just plan out work. We can't just plan out workouts. We have to plan our life if we're building habits and creating structure. It can't be one or the other. They have to kind of work together. And so one of the first things you do, like I said, is look at those building blocks of what your day-to-day lifestyle looks like and how we can build sustainable habits that can move and interact with you. And there are kind of two phases to this because, we've talked about this. Life can throw you some curveballs, and life often doesn't go as we plan. And so to say that we have this really strict, structured plan that we're living our life by, how often is that actually going to happen? But I think where the stepping stone comes in and where that kind of curated mindset comes of being dynamic and adaptable is that when we're building a habit, we have to have a little bit of tough love with our clients and with the client with themselves, individually, that little bit of mental toughness. It takes some time to create that habit, and you might have to, draw some hard lines in the sand for yourself. If you plan to, for example, run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you come to Wednesday and you're tired, maybe you don't want to go for that run, maybe you have, hormones or energy crash, or maybe you had a hard workout, or maybe you had a crappy work day and you just don't want to get up and do that run at the beginning of the day. There's a time and place where we can create understanding, intention, education around fitness and health, where there can be some dynamic decisions that are made. But at the beginning, I think it's really fundamentally important that you create space for yourself. And we've talked about how hard it is to take care of yourself and how that's not an easy task. And I never sugarcoat it with any of my clients. This is hard. Creating habits is hard. Prioritizing yourself is hard. But creating space to be a little bit selfish, creating time for yourself, that's a huge fundamental part of starting those big fitness mindset changes. And particularly when you're addressing fitness from a health perspective of the long-term sustainable lifestyle. And so when we are, sorry, my mind derailed. Let me come back to what I was thinking about. Oh yeah, so when we're creating those tools for forming those habits, there has to be some tough decisions you're going to make. So that Wednesday morning run that we're talking about, I think it's important to fulfill your intention of what you were doing and, get up. Maybe you put the running clothes on. Maybe you go out for a 10-minute run, or maybe you get out the door and you go for a walk instead of a run. It's that balance of listening to what your body needs, but also not having a little bit of a cop out. And, down the road, a couple months in, we formed the habits. We have an understanding of what creating space in our day for ourselves and for our health looks like. Then it becomes, I was up super late with life, kids, animals, dogs, work, whatever. Maybe I don't want that early morning run. Maybe I'm going to get up, and in that time that I've allotted for myself and that, now I'm used to having for myself, maybe I can do some yoga. Maybe I'll do some stretching. Maybe I'll do some journaling, because that's time that I've set aside for myself. Or even, one step further, and this is kind of when we're down the road and we've created a lot of awareness around our mindset of health and wellness, is maybe that extra hour is actually best spent for myself sleeping in. Maybe that is the best decision for me. But when we're forming the change in our lifestyle, that's a little bit of almost like a cop-out. I'm going to sleep because that's what my body needs. The tough love that I talked about, that goes for yourself as well. And I think that beginning step, that first 2 to 4 weeks, that's the hardest part about getting on the right pathway for fitness goals, because you're changing the habits. You're going against the grain. It's not easy. Prioritizing yourself is not always a natural instinct for people. And I think learning to create the space and having mindset to value that time is just as important as how many reps and sets you're doing, how much weight you're lifting, etc. And, I know we didn't really get into what you probably thought you were going to hear, which is here's how to train, here's our reps and sets, here's our different types of exercise, here's, how to build our endurance, heart rate, etc. But really, when it comes to curated content, fitness, health, it can't start with that because it's not sustainable. And that is not the type of fixes that we're trying to build here at Studio D with people. And so even though that might not have been what you were expecting to hear today, if maybe that's something that's interesting to you, how to train, different strategies around reps and sets, maybe the science behind some of this training, it's absolutely something that we can talk to you guys about. So, throw a comment in the discussion down below. And if that's something that you're interested in hearing about, we can absolutely get into that in a different video. But for today, that is what we were covering. And I hope maybe that created some mindset changes for people, or maybe a light bulb moment, or maybe you have something to bring to the table for me to think about. So please, please, please bring the discussion. Let's talk about it. We love that. We've said that before. So please drop a comment below if there's anything that you want to hear down the road or any discussion off today. Now, at the beginning, I told you there was a draw that we're doing at the end of the month. So let me give you all the details on how to enter for that. So if you would like to enter for a draw, which I said at the beginning is for the sweater or the toque, and then the benefits analysis package, please go ahead, like this video, subscribe to our channel, which means you'll also get all the best videos that are coming out in the weeks to come, and throw a comment down below. We're happy with you guys commenting on either, maybe something that came up in today's video, or maybe something that maybe you didn't think about, that you're thinking about a different way, or if this video just wasn't for you and you're not one of these people, that's totally cool too. Drop us a comment below and just let us know why you think a benefit analysis package might be something that would be beneficial to you. So we will be looking for all of those comments to enter into the draw, and I'm so excited to do that at the end of the month with you guys. I will be back on Thursday to talk about our next profile of people, which is weight management. So people that are looking to maintain, lose, gain, doesn't matter. That is the population that we will be talking about on Thursday. So I'm really excited to dive into that with you guys. So I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a good night.